Namaskar. Welcome to Discourse number 61. In the previous discourse, we have learned what Samadhi is. That is the end product of Yoga Sadhana. That is the ultimate goal of yoga. Patanjali has made it as the eighth limb of Ashtanga Yoga. This is the final limb. That is, finally, the sadhaka must reach this. So, Samadhi is the final and ultimate goal of yogic sadhana. The speaker has already introduced what Samadhi is. It is a very complex process. A complex process is involved in attaining this particular state. The speaker has introduced two kinds of Samadhi. Samprajñanata Samadhi and Asamprajñanata Samadhi. Patanjali has distinguished these two kinds very elaborately. In fact, the first section of the Yoga Sutras is called as Samadhipada. Now, in this Samadhipada, Patanjali has expounded what Samadhi is. And its complexities. The hurdles that a sadhaka might face in realizing this particular state. Samprajñanata Samadhi and Asamprajñanata Samadhi. The common element in these two kinds is the presence of pratyaya, that is content of mind. The ultimate purpose of yoga is to eliminate this pratyaya, that is the content of mind, comprising samskaras, karmas, vasanas, and so on. Unless this pratyaya is completely destroyed, eliminated, the sadhaka may fail to attain this particular state. When pratyaya is removed, what remains thereafter is nothing, and it is called no mind state. When the sadhaka attains this particular state, no mind state, by eliminating pratyaya, it is the beginning of the spiritual journey, and it is not the end. In fact, the sadhaka's journey has begun there at this point. And this breaking of pratyaya involves several stages in meditation. So the sadhaka climbs up or moves up from one vehicle to another vehicle in the human body. And overcomes all the obstacles, and slowly and steadily the consciousness is withdrawn from the matter, from the physical body, from the mind. And these two are superimposed on consciousness. So when these two are removed, what remains is the state of pure consciousness. And this is the actual nature of your being and the whole creation. So, as the sadhaka proceeds from stage to stage and evolves and finally reaches the goal, that is the state where only the pure consciousness remains, and the sadhaka undergoes such a state of experience and stabilizes himself in that state, then it is called asamprajnanata samadhi. It's not merely experiencing that state for a few seconds or for a few moments, but remaining in that state for long. then you become only the consciousness, nothing else. Moment by moment, such a sadhaka will live constantly in that state. And when the sadhaka wants to perform any physical action, such an action springs from that pure state of consciousness, untainted by any samskaras or vasanas. And such an action becomes pure. And once the action is completed, the sadhaka bounces back to the state of consciousness and remains there. Such a sadhaka will not unnecessarily involve in any action, nor in thinking. Only when a situation arises, such a sadhaka plunges himself into action. And when the action is completed, he does not carry the memory of that action. And the action is finished. It will not be recorded in memory. The action is over. And such an action is pure. And therefore, such a sadhaka will not accumulate samskaras. Because the sadhaka is constantly stabilized in that state of pure consciousness. Nothing else touches him. Nothing else disturbs him. So the sadhaka moves from samprajñanata state to asamprajñanata state. Even when the sadhaka reaches the asamprajñanata state of samadhi, the sadhaka may not undergo the full experience of that state. He may be led to believe that such a state is a real state of samadhi. Such a possibility may arise. but the sadhaka must be completely vigilant. The remnants of samskaras must be completely eliminated. Samskaras manifest as tendencies, karmic impulses, and subliminal impressions, and so on. So, the sadhaka cannot escape from the influence of the powerful influence of these samskaras, which are very strongly rooted. Therefore, the sadhaka must exercise great vigilance, and until the last remnants of samskaras are eliminated, the sadhaka cannot attain that asamprajnanata samadhi. Having distinguished these two states of samadhi, Patanjali also brings out two kinds of yogis. The first kind of yogis are videhas, or prakritilayas, or bhava pratyayas. The second type of yogis attain the state of samadhi by virtue of self-discipline, Videhas, the first kind of yogis known as Videhas or Prakritilayas, gain this state of this trance-like state by birth. Their physical constitution is entirely different. They are mediumistic by nature. Their constitution of mind also is different. And by birth, they can enter into this trance-like state by withdrawing the body from the pranamaya kosha. So such a state may be mistaken for samadhi. And most of the yogis belonging to the first kind are scattered in the world, and they gain certain psychic powers, exercise those powers in public. And such yogis Patanjali calls as pseudo-yogis. They are not real yogis. and they have not attained the actual state of Samadhi. As the speaker has just now said, their constitution of body and mind is different, and therefore they have the capacity to enter in this trance-like state by withdrawing from the pranamaya kosha. And such yogis are plenty in the world, and they may exercise, perform some psychic powers and attract the public. And they are not real yogis. And in such yogis, we cannot find the element of spirituality. With their psychic powers, they attract the people. They perform certain miracles in the public. And people are completely fascinated by such miracles, and they flock at these pseudo-yogis. Patanjali cautions us to be aware of such pseudo-yogis. They are found in large number in the world. Patanjali is not interested in all such pseudoism. He dismisses, he condemns all such pseudoism in yoga sadhana. His yoga is scientific. He has made this entire spiritual life a disciplinary one. It's only by cultivating such disciplinary techniques and methods that sadhaka can lead yogic life or spiritual life. And move from stage to stage and reach the ultimate goal. So, the first kind of yogis are fake They are not real. They may display certain miracles in public, and those miracles are unfortunately mistaken for spirituality. Along with such pseudo-yogis, there are another kind of yogis the speaker has already introduced in his previous discourse. That is, they sit without moving their body. They can stiffen their position. They can establish in a particular posture. They can sit in that posture for a long time. And people may tend to mistake such yogis for real yogis. They are not. And they think that they are in the state of Samadhi. Such a state of Samadhi is called Jada Samadhi, and it is not real. Body may be stiffened. You may not move physically. You may sit in one position constantly for a long time without moving any part of your body. But the mind is constantly functioning inside. The samskaras are strong. The vasanas are strong. So the sadhaka has not overcome those samskaras and vasanas. So such a sadhaka, he cannot be treated as a real yogi. And you find such type of pseudo-yogis in the world. There are plenty in number. Do not be carried away by such pseudoism. So, in this discourse, we have learned what is pseudo-yoga and pseudo-samadhi. And one kind of yogis who are highly deceptive and fake. And how this first kind of yogis, by disembodying themselves, they can enter into that trance-like state and give an impression that they have attained the state of Samadhi. Such yogis should not be taken into account. They are not real yogis. They have not attained the state by virtue of self-disciplinary techniques expounded by Patanjali in his sutras. We shall examine the second kind of yogis in our next discourse. And what are the traits prescribed by Patanjali to attain that real state of Samadhi? And unless those traits are cultivated, we may fail to attain the state of Samadhi. We may fail to lead such life of spirituality. We shall discuss all these elements and aspects in our next discourse. Namaskar.